We're going to, I told you I wanted to go back to kind of what's happening in the House and the fact that we had this hearing yesterday. We talked about the Attorney General Merrick Garland's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee yesterday, his evasive answers, but in particular, his response to Congressman Chip Roy of Texas talking about the FACE Act, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, that has been used to target pro-lifers. Well, joining me now to talk about this is the congressman himself, Congressman Chip Roy of Texas. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Great to be on, Tony. Hope you're doing well.
Well, I'm actually probably a little more rested than you are. It's been a busy week. We had Scott Perry on earlier saying that there's possibly a breakthrough in the negotiations over government funding. You want to give us the latest?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in the whip's office and Tom Emmer's office in the basement of the Capitol right now. We're trying to work through a path forward on moving the individual appropriations bills, general agreement on a top line number. Now we're trying to work through a path to stack and rack, basically, and get these things moved through and get the amendments done, get them to the Rules Committee. It's going to be a tall order. I don't know if we can get all 12 done, but I think we can get a whole lot done, which might set the stage for heading into next weekend, having sent a lot of important bills out of the House. But, you know, look, as you know, Tony, look, it's a razor-thin majority. When my friend Thomas Massie once pointed out, if 99% of us in the Republican conference agree and only 99% are present, which we've had a few injuries and some health issues, we have about 217 votes. So we got some work to do, and we're working through it. But the most important thing is we got to cut spending, we got to secure the border, and we got to pull back and use these riders to cut some of the things you were just talking about. Michelle Bachmann, like the World Health Organization, some of these ridiculous organizations undermining our sovereignty. And so that's one of the things we were literally just talking about half an hour ago about how to move those things.
Well, Congressman, I want to commend you and your conservative colleagues in the Freedom Caucus. You're in the Freedom Caucus, but you've been working with the not-so-conservative members to try to work forward with a path that actually changes the way we do business. And I understand negotiations. It's give and take. You don't always get everything you want. But I commend you for leaning in and working hard on this. I was telling our viewers and listeners earlier, you know, look, back in January when we were all this consternation over the speaker's race, it's a good process. It got us to a better place. This is going to get us to a better place as well.
No, I think you're right, Tony. I mean, look, this is part of the making sausage, as they say. And I wish we had been doing this more in July. I don't think we should have broken in August. I think this should, we should be farther down the line. But, you guys remember doing papers in high school or college, or sometimes sometimes your best work is done at the 11th hour because the pressure's on and you got to focus. So we're doing everything we can. I don't believe we should be leaving town. Right now, we're in recess. We have not adjourned. Some of us said we would object and we should not adjourn. We might adjourn for the night, but we're not adjourning into the weekend yet. So many of us are here. The Rules Committee will probably meet tomorrow. We'll try to move some stuff forward, but we're still working on it.
All right. So quickly, before we run out of time, the FACE Act, you have introduced legislation to repeal this. It was dormant for, almost very rarely used until the Biden administration. It has been a weapon to go after pro-lifers.
Yeah, no question. In fact, yesterday, as you noted in the Judiciary Committee hearing in which Merrick Garland appeared, besides avoiding all the questions on Weiss and what's going on with Hunter Biden, he refused to talk to me and answer the questions any meaningful way about Scott Smith, the father in Loudoun County, and the abuses he was experiencing, being labeled a domestic terrorist. And he refused to say that they would rescind their memo. But importantly, on your point, the FACE Act, Mark Houck, right, in Philadelphia, one example of many where he was being targeted. The local authorities declined to pursue because they realized it was such a weak argument or case and he hadn't done anything wrong. And then the feds come in and then they indict him, and the jury acquits him after 2 hours. And I pressed the Attorney General, what are you doing? And by the way, of all of the prosecutions under the FACE Act, 126 were against lifers. Four were against people that were contrary to life or pro-choice or whatever you want to say. So it's clear the bias. I think we ought to repeal it. I want to make sure that some of the protections in there for churches, that we make sure there's statutory angles that we can go. But we need to repeal it and then stop giving authority to the Department of Justice to be able to go after people like Mark Houck, or even there's a very liberal group, a progressive pro-life group, and they've been prosecuted and sentenced, and they're facing sentencing to be in jail because of some of the things that they've been a part of, and they've had an FBI infiltrate them. This is wrong. This is not what we should have the federal government doing.
Well, and I appreciate you taking the lead on addressing this issue, because we've seen all of these pro-life centers and churches attacked. Nothing happening to them, but pro-lifers, they've got a target on them. Congressman Chip Roy, always great to see you. Good luck. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Tony. God bless.